The celebration lights of New Busan Colony painted the dark sky in brilliant colors. Hyunwoo stood on the main platform watching thousands of colonists laugh and dance below. 30 years of peace. 30 years since humanity signed the Treaty of Titan with the Galactic Council. 30 years since the guns fell silent. Beautiful night, Nari said, walking up beside him. The security chief held a drink in one hand, but her eyes never stopped scanning the crowd. Old habits from her military days never died. You should relax, Hyunwoo told her with a smile. The war is over. Has been for 3 decades, Nari shrugged. Maybe, but I sleep better when I stay alert. Above them, the stars shone peaceful and calm. The colony of 15,000 people had grown from nothing into a thriving mining community. Families lived here. Children played in the streets. This was what peace looked like. Then the sky caught fire. The first explosion tore through the eastern district. The shockwave knocked Hyunwoo to his knees. Screams replaced laughter. The celebration lights died as power failed across the colony. Orbital strike. Nari was already moving, her military training taking over. She grabbed Hyunwoo's arm and pulled him toward the emergency bunker. We're under attack. That's impossible, Hyunwoo gasped as another explosion rocked the colony. Buildings collapsed in clouds of dust and fire. The treaty is dead, Nari shouted over the chaos. She activated her communicator. This is Security Chief Nari to all units. We are under attack. I repeat, we are under attack. Execute emergency protocols now. Above the burning colony, massive ships emerged from hyperspace. Their hulls bore the red and black markings of the Vraxian Empire. Reptilian warriors who had fought humanity during the First Contact War. Energy weapons lanced down from orbit, turning streets into rivers of molten metal. Hyunwoo's mind raced as they ran. The Vraxians were one of the most powerful species in the Galactic Council. If they were attacking, this wasn't some random raid. This was planned. This was war. Far away on Earth, alarms screamed through the command center of the United Earth Defense Force. Admiral Taiho sat in his chair, watching the emergency broadcasts with cold eyes. He was 60 years old now, gray hair and worn face showing the weight of 3 decades leading humanity's military, but those eyes still burned with the same fire from his younger days. Report, he said quietly. His voice cut through the panic like a knife. Commander Minji stepped forward, her tablet showing streams of data. 15 colonies under simultaneous attack, sir. New Busan, Port Incheon, Settlement Dijon, and 12 others. All outer rim positions. The attackers are Vraxian forces. Casualties? Unknown. Communications are being jammed. We received initial distress signals before they went dark. Minji's voice was steady, but her hands gripped the tablet tight. Admiral, this is a clear violation of the Treaty of Titan. Taiho stood up slowly. Around the command center, officers waited for orders. They looked scared. They had grown up during peacetime. Most had never seen real combat. Get me the Galactic Council immediately, Taiho ordered. And activate Protocol Prometheus. Minji's eyes widened. Sir, that protocol has been classified for 30 years. I know. Taiho's face was stone. It's time. The communication came through minutes later. The Galactic Council representative appeared on screen, a tall insectoid creature named Velkoth. The alien's translator made its voice sound almost bored. Admiral Taiho, we have received your complaint regarding the Vraxian operations. Operations? Taiho's voice could have frozen stars. They're slaughtering civilians. This is a treaty violation. The Council has reviewed the situation. The Vraxian Empire claims they were conducting security operations against human smuggling activities in their territory. Our colonies are nowhere near Vraxian territory. Nevertheless, the Council has voted. We find no treaty violation. Velkoth's mandibles clicked in what might have been satisfaction. Perhaps humanity has forgotten its place in the galactic order. You are a minor species. You should be grateful for the peace we have granted you. The transmission ended. Taiho stood silent for a long moment. Around him, the command center had gone deathly quiet. Everyone had heard. The Galactic Council wasn't going to help. They had authorized this attack. Minji, Taiho said softly. Yes, sir. Send a message to all Earth military installations. Execute Prometheus Protocol immediately. Recall all fleets to staging positions. And get me Sora from the research division. What are we doing, Admiral? Taiho turned to face his command staff. They looked at him with fear and confusion. These young officers didn't understand yet. But they would learn. 30 years ago, we signed a treaty because we were weak. We had just finished a war that nearly destroyed us. The Galactic Council forced terms on us that limited our military, our territory, our rights. Taiho walked to the center of the room. But I've been in this military for 40 years. I fought in the First Contact War. I saw what humans can do when we're pushed to the edge. He pulled up a star map showing the 15 burning colonies. The Council thinks we're weak. They think 30 years of peace made us soft. They authorized the Vraxians to attack us because they wanted to remind us of our place. Taiho's voice grew harder. But we haven't been sleeping these 30 years. We've been preparing, building, planning for exactly this day. Sir? Minji asked. What are you saying? I'm saying the treaty is void. Humanity is at war. Taiho looked at each of his officers in turn, and this time, we're going to remind the galaxy why they feared us in the first place. Across Earth, hidden installations powered up for the first time in decades. Secret shipyards opened their bay doors. Weapons that shouldn't exist according to galactic law came online. For 30 years, humanity had pretended to be weak. For 30 years, they had prepared for the day when the galaxy's predators came calling again. On Mars' defense platform, young pilot Jinwoo sat in his fighter cockpit as new orders came through. Around him, other pilots were scrambling to their ships. The peaceful patrols were over. War had returned. All pilots, this is command, the voice crackled over his radio. You are cleared to activate combat systems. Authorization code Prometheus. God help them all. Jinwoo's hands moved over controls he had trained on but never used. Hidden panels in his fighter opened, revealing weapons that were far more advanced than anything the treaty allowed. His ship hummed with power it had never shown before. In her laboratory deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, scientist Sora smiled grimly as her life's work finally saw the light. 30 years of secret research, 30 years of preparing for betrayal. She had told them this day would come. Now humanity would show the galaxy what real humans could do. Admiral Taiho sat alone in his office, looking at pictures of colonies that might already be dead. His hands trembled slightly, but his resolve was iron. They wanted to remind us of our place, he whispered to the empty room. Let's remind them why they should have left us alone. The Galactic Council chamber buzzed with satisfied clicks and hums. Representatives from hundreds of species watched the reports from human space. The Vraxian attack had been swift and brutal. Surely the humans would beg for mercy now. The human species has been taught their lesson, Velkoth announced to the assembly. Within days they will accept our terms for peace. Increased tribute, reduced territory, and permanent military observers to ensure compliance. The council members signaled their agreement. Humans were useful workers and decent engineers, but they needed to understand their place. The galaxy had an order, and small species stayed small. None of them noticed the human ambassador standing in the back of the chamber. Dongyun was a thin man with silver hair and calm eyes. He had been Earth's representative for 15 years, always quiet, always diplomatic. Now he walked to the speaker platform, his footsteps echoing in the chamber. The council recognizes Ambassador Donghyun, Velkoth said with barely hidden contempt. Have you come to discuss surrender terms? No, Dongyun said simply. He pulled out a small device and activated it. Holographic displays appeared throughout the chamber, showing tactical data that made several species gasp. I have come to inform you that the Treaty of Titan is void. Effective immediately, humanity considers itself in a state of total war with the Vraxian Empire, and any species that supports them. You cannot... Velkoth started. We have evidence that this council knew about the Vraxian attack in advance. You authorized it. That makes you complicit in attempted genocide. Dongyun's voice remained calm, but his words cut like blades. Earth's fleets are mobilizing. Our hidden assets are now active. And I suggest every species in this chamber ask themselves one question. Do you really want to find out what humans can do when we stop pretending to be weak? The holographic displays showed something that froze the council in their seats. Ship designs that shouldn't exist, weapons that violated every treaty limitation, fleet strengths that were 10 times what humanity was supposed to have. You've been lying to us for 30 years, Velkoth hissed. We've been preparing, Dongyun corrected. You taught us a valuable lesson during the First Contact War. The galaxy respects only strength. So we built strength. We just waited for you to give us a reason to show it. He turned and walked out of the chamber, leaving chaos behind him. Deep in the secret research facility, Sora stood before a gathering of military officers. The scientist looked tired but determined. Behind her, holographic displays showed weapons and ships that made the officers stare in wonder. "Welcome to Project Prometheus," Sora began. "For 30 years I've been told I was paranoid. That the peace would last, that the galaxy would respect our treaties." She smiled without humor. "I knew better. I knew predators only wait until their prey looks weak." She activated the first display. "These are our new warships. Faster than anything the Vraxians have. Better armed, better shielded. We've taken their technology and improved it using human engineering principles." "How many?" one officer asked. 300 capital ships, 2,000 destroyers, 5,000 fighters." Sora's eyes gleamed, all hidden in dead systems and asteroid fields. All waiting for this moment. "The treaty limited us to 50 ships total," another officer said in shock. "The treaty was always going to be broken. Not by us, but by them." Sora moved to the next display. "We also have new weapons. Railguns that can punch through Vraxian shields, missiles that track across hyperspace, and something special for their homeworld if it comes to that." On Mars' defense platform, Jinwoo flew through space in his fighter, testing systems he had only read about in classified manuals. The ship responded like a dream. He fired the new weapons at drone targets and watched them disintegrate. "This is incredible," he said over the squadron channel. "These weapons are twice as powerful as anything the Vraxians have." "That's the point," his squadron leader replied. "For 30 years we've been pretending our fighters were simple patrol craft. Now show them what human pilots can really do." The squadron of 30 fighters accelerated toward the edge of the solar system. Intelligence said a Vraxian scout group was approaching. Time to send a message. Back on New Busan, Nari crawled through the rubble of what used to be the commercial district. Around her, 200 survivors moved silently through the ruins. The Vraxian occupation force had landed 3 hours ago. Confident that the colonists were defeated, they were wrong. "Target the ammunition depot," Nari whispered into her communicator. 3 teams synchronized strike. Make every shot count." Her people were miners and farmers, but she had trained them well over the years. Just exercises, she had told them. Just in case. Now those exercises were saving lives. The Vraxian depot exploded in a ball of fire. Alien warriors rushed toward the explosion, and Nari's people opened fire from 3 sides. The ambush lasted 30 seconds. When it was over, 50 Vraxian soldiers lay dead. "Fall back to position 2, Nari ordered. "They'll be angry now. That's when they make mistakes." Hyunwoo met them at the fallback position, leading another group of survivors. "The evacuation tunnels are secure. We have 3,000 people safe underground." "Good." Nari checked her weapon. "We just need to hold until the fleet arrives." "Will they come?" Nari smiled grimly. "I know Admiral Taiho. He's been waiting for this war for 30 years. Yes, they'll come, and when they do, these lizards are going to learn what happens when you attack humans." In Earth's command center, Admiral Taiho studied the tactical displays with Commander Minji at his side. The picture was becoming clear. 15 colonies attacked. 10 had gone completely dark. 5 were holding on with desperate resistance. "The fleet is ready, Admiral," Minji reported. 100 ships at full combat readiness, all equipped with Prometheus technology. "The Vraxians have 200 ships in the attack zones," Taiho said thoughtfully. "They think they have us outnumbered. Do we wait for the rest of our fleet to arrive?" "No." Taiho's eyes were hard. "Every minute we wait, more civilians die. We go now with what we have, and we show them what human warriors can do." He pulled up the strategic map. "Minji, you'll take the second fleet to hit their supply lines. Cut them off from reinforcements. I'll take the first fleet directly to New Busan. That's their strongest position, sir. They have 80 ships there." "I know." Taiho smiled for the first time in days. "That's why we're going there first. When we crush their strongest force, the rest will break. It's risky. War is risk. But I learned something in the first contact war." Taiho looked at his young commander. "The Vraxians are strong, but they're predictable. They follow standard tactics. They don't adapt. Humans, we're chaos. We improvise. We find ways to win that don't exist in any tactical manual." He activated the fleet-wide channel. "All ships, this is Admiral Taiho. In 30 minutes, we jump to New Busan. We're outnumbered 2 to 1. The enemy has better positions. By every tactical calculation, we should lose." He paused, letting that sink in, "but we won't lose. Because we're not fighting by their rules anymore. We're not the weak species begging for scraps. We're humanity and we're done being victims. Today we show the galaxy what happens when you wake a sleeping dragon. All ships prepare for combat. Today we take back our people. Across the fleet, thousands of human warriors heard those words. They checked their weapons. They said prayers to their various gods. They looked at pictures of families they might never see again. Then they climbed into their ships and prepared to go to war. In space, Jinwoo and his squadron detected the Vraxian scouts. 5 enemy fighters against 30 humans. Should be easy. All fighters, this is Wing Commander. The voice came over the radio. Free weapons. Show them what we can do. Jinwoo's fingers tightened on his controls. For 30 years, humanity had been told they were inferior pilots. Today, that lie died. For Earth, he whispered and launched into battle. The Vraxian scout fighters never saw the human attack coming. Jinwoo's squadron hit them with new weapons that tore through shields like paper. The battle lasted 40 seconds. All 5 enemy fighters were destroyed. Not a single human ship took damage. Confirmed kills. Jinwoo reported, his voice steady despite his racing heart. Enemy scouts eliminated. Good work, Red Squadron, Command responded. Return to base. The main fleet jumps in 10 minutes. Jinwoo looked at the debris floating in space where enemy ships used to be. For 30 years, the Vraxians had called humans weak, inferior. Today was the first lesson in how wrong they were. At New Busan, Nari watched through binoculars as more Vraxian forces landed. The reptilian warriors were growing frustrated. They had expected quick surrender, but human resistance was making them pay for every street. They're bringing in heavy armor, Hyunwoo said beside her. The colony administrator looked exhausted but determined. Our weapons can't stop those tanks. We don't need to stop them, Nari replied. We just need to slow them down until help arrives. You keep saying help is coming. But it's been 6 hours, Nari smiled. Admiral Taeho doesn't abandon his people. He's coming. And when he gets here, these invaders are going to wish they'd stayed home. A massive explosion rocked the Vraxian command post. Nari had placed those charges 3 years ago, during a routine maintenance check. Just in case, she had thought. Now they were giving the enemy something to worry about besides hunting civilians. In space above the colony, the Vraxian fleet commander was celebrating. Admiral Corvin was confident in his victory. 80 warships against a defenseless colony. The humans had no fleet nearby. This was easy conquest, my lord, his sensor officer said. We're detecting hyperspace signatures. Probably more human civilians trying to flee, Corvin said dismissively. Destroy any ships that try to leave the system. My lord, these signatures are military grade. Multiple ships. Heavy signatures. Corvin stood up from his command throne. How many? 40, 60, 80. Sir, we count 100 human warships entering the system. That's impossible. The humans were limited to 50 ships total by treaty. The ships are here, my lord, and they're approaching at attack speed. On the bridge of the UES Incheon, Admiral Taeho watched his displays with cold satisfaction. The Vraxian fleet was scrambling to form a defensive formation. They were confused and scared. Good. Admiral, the enemy is hailing us, the communications officer reported. Put them on. A reptilian face appeared on screen, scales gleaming under harsh lights. Human Admiral, you are outnumbered and outmatched. Surrender now and we will allow you to— No, Taeho interrupted. You will surrender to me. You have violated the Treaty of Titan. You have murdered civilians. You have exactly one chance to withdraw from this system and face justice for your crimes. Corvin hissed with laughter. You have 100 ships. I have 80. But my ships are superior. Vraxian technology was superior 30 years ago, Taeho finished. Now? Well, you're about to find out what humans have been building. Commander Minji, execute Attack Plan Alpha. With pleasure, sir. The human fleet split into 3 groups with perfect coordination. The Vraxians had never seen this formation before. Their tactical computers tried to calculate the best response, but humans moved too fast. Minji commanded the first attack wing. 20 ships accelerated toward the enemy left flank. The Vraxians moved to intercept, confident in their heavier shields and weapons. Then Minji gave the order her crew had been waiting 30 years to hear. All ships, activate Prometheus weapons. Fire at will. The new railguns fired at near light speed. Vraxian shields designed to stop energy weapons did nothing against solid metal moving at such impossible velocities. Enemy ships started dying. Their shields aren't working, a Vraxian officer screamed. How are their weapons penetrating our... The transmission ended as another ship exploded. Corvin watched in horror as his fleet fell apart.
All ships, emergency scatter.
Reform it, too late, Tejo said quietly from his bridge. His second attack wing hit the Vraxian right flank. His third wing drove straight through their center. Human ships were faster, more maneuverable, and their weapons were tearing through enemy vessels like they were made of paper. Commence landing operations, Tejo ordered. Get our ground forces down there. I want those civilians evacuated within the hour. On the surface, Nari heard the roar of human dropships entering the atmosphere. She grabbed her communicator. All units, friendly forces incoming. Mark your positions with flares. The first dropship landed in a cleared area, and 200 human Marines poured out. They were wearing new armor, carrying new weapons, and they moved with the precision of warriors who had trained for exactly this moment. Security Chief Nari? The Marine captain asked. That's me. Captain Daehyun, 5th Marine Regiment. We're here to get you out. Not yet, Nari said firmly. We have 3,000 civilians in the underground shelters. And there's a Vraxian command post 2 kilometers east that needs to be eliminated. Daehyun smiled. I like how you think. Show us the way. The combined force of resistance fighters and Marines hit the Vraxian command post like a hammer. The enemy had expected broken colonists, not trained soldiers with superior weapons. The battle was short and brutal. In space, the Vraxian fleet was dying. Corvin's 80 ships were down to 40, then 30, then 20. Human ships danced through the debris, hunting survivors with ruthless efficiency. My lord, we must retreat, his surviving officers begged. Corvin's pride warred with his survival instinct. The council promised us an easy victory. They said humans were weak. The council lied, his second officer shouted. We need to jump out now. But it was too late. Minji's battle group had positioned themselves to cut off the escape routes. The remaining Vraxian ships were surrounded. This is Admiral Tejo to the Vraxian fleet. Surrender now or be destroyed. You have 60 seconds. Corvin looked at his shattered fleet. Pride said to fight to the last ship. Survival said to live and warn his people. Finally, he spoke the words that burned in his throat. We can't surrender. Smart choice. All Vraxian ships will power down weapons and shields. Any ship that tries to run will be destroyed. Any ship that resists will be destroyed. Tejo's voice was ice. And Admiral Corvin, you're going to help me send a message to the galaxy. 2 hours later, the evacuation was complete. 3,000 colonists were safe on human ships. The Vraxian ground forces were either dead or prisoners. The orbital fleet was captured intact. Nari found Hyunwoo among the evacuees. The colony administrator was crying as he looked at the ruins of what they'd built. We'll rebuild, Nari told him gently. And next time we'll have real defenses. Will there be a next time? Not if Admiral Tejo has anything to say about it. On the Incheon's bridge, Tejo stood before the captured Admiral Corvin. The reptilian warrior's scales were dull with defeat. You're going to broadcast a message, Tejo told him. To every Vraxian ship, to the entire galaxy. You're going to tell them exactly what happened here. I will say nothing. Then your crew dies with you. Tejo's voice held no mercy. Your choice. Be a martyr, or save the warriors who trusted you. Corvin looked at his captured officers. Young warriors who had followed him expecting glory. Now they faced execution because of his pride. Finally, he spoke. What do you want me to say? 10 minutes later, the broadcast went out across the galaxy. Admiral Corvin, once proud commander of the Vraxian Third Fleet, stood before the camera and spoke words that would change everything. I am Admiral Corvin. My fleet of 80 warships attacked the human colony of New Busan. We expected easy victory. The Galactic Council told us humans were weak. They were wrong. The human fleet arrived with technology that surpassed ours. They destroyed my fleet in less than 3 hours. They rescued their civilians and crushed our ground forces. I surrendered to humanity not out of cowardice but to save the lives of my remaining warriors. He paused, scales trembling. To the Vraxian Empire. Humanity is not weak. They have been preparing for 30 years. Their ships are superior. Their warriors are fierce. Their resolve is unbreakable. Do not underestimate them again. Tejo ended the broadcast and looked at Minji. Send that message to every comm channel in the galaxy. And prepare the fleet. This was just the first battle. Now we take the war to them. Minji nodded, but she had to ask, Admiral, what's our endgame? We can't fight the entire Vraxian Empire. We won't have to. Tejo pulled up the strategic map. We just need to make them bleed. Make them fear us. Make them understand that attacking humanity comes with a price too high to pay. He looked at the stars beyond his ship. They thought we would break. Instead, we're going to teach the galaxy a lesson it will never forget. The broadcast of Admiral Corvin's surrender sent shockwaves through the galaxy. Species that had dismissed humanity now watched with concern. The Vraxian Empire, humiliated by their defeat, demanded vengeance. In the Imperial Palace on Vraxia Prime, the High Command gathered in emergency session. The Emperor himself, ancient and cruel, listened to the reports with growing rage. 100 human ships defeated our 80 warships. His voice was deadly quiet. How is this possible? Their technology exceeds our projections, Imperial Majesty, a general replied carefully. They have been hiding their true capabilities. Then we must show them true power. The Emperor gestured to his science minister. Is the weapon ready? Yes, Imperial Majesty. The biological agent is prepared. It targets human DNA specifically. Once deployed on Earth, their entire species will be extinct within days. Then send it immediately. One voice dared to speak up. Imperial Majesty, the use of biological weapons is forbidden by the Galactic Convention. Every species has signed. The galaxy will understand. The Emperor interrupted. Humans are a threat. They must be eliminated before they spread further. The Council will see the wisdom of our action. The Science Minister bowed. The weapon will be delivered within 48 hours. On Earth, Sora sat in her laboratory reviewing intelligence reports. Something felt wrong. The Vraxians had lost badly at New Busan, but their response had been too quiet. No major fleet movements, no mobilization of their reserves, just silence. They're planning something, she muttered to herself. Her assistant looked up from his console. What do you mean? The Vraxians don't take defeat well. Their culture demands immediate retaliation. But they're not moving fleets. Sora pulled up a star chart. They're doing something else. Something secret. She activated her security clearance and dove into the intelligence network. Intercepted communications. Spy satellite data. Anything that might tell her what the enemy was planning. Then she found it. A coded message from deep inside Vraxian space. The encryption was military grade, but Sora had been breaking alien codes for 30 years. Her fingers flew across the keyboard. Oh no, she whispered as the message decoded. Oh no. She grabbed her communicator. This is Sora to Admiral Tejo, emergency priority. We have a code red situation. 2 hours later, Tejo sat in his office reading Sora's report. His hands trembled slightly as he read the decoded message. The Vraxians were sending a bioweapon to Earth. A planet killer designed to eliminate every human in existence. How long do we have? He asked quietly. The courier ship carrying the weapon will reach Earth orbit in 36 hours, Sora replied via video link. She looked exhausted and terrified. Admiral, if they deploy this weapon, humanity is extinct. We won't have time to evacuate. We won't have time to develop a cure. Everyone dies. Tejo was silent for a long moment. Can we intercept the courier ship? I've already calculated their route. There's one interception point 16 hours from now. It's in neutral space, far from any backup. Send me the coordinates. And Sora, get every scientist we have working on a counter-agent, just in case we fail to stop it. Already on it, sir. Tejo called Minji to his office. When she arrived, he showed her the intelligence report. The color drained from her face. They're going to try to exterminate us, she said in shock. Yes, and we're going to stop them. Tejo pulled up the tactical map. Take the fastest ships we have. Jinwoo's fighter squadron for speed and precision. Board that courier ship and secure the weapon. But Minji, do not destroy the ship. I want the weapon intact, and I want the crew alive, sir, because we're going to present them to the Galactic Council as evidence. The Vraxians are about to commit genocide. The Council will have to respond. 16 hours later, Jinwoo and his squadron approached the courier ship. It was a small vessel, fast and lightly armed. Probably thought it could slip past human patrols unnoticed. Red Squadron, this is Commander Minji. The voice came over his headset. Remember, we need that ship intact. Disable engines only. No kill shots. Understood, Jinwoo replied. His squadron formed up around him. 20 fighters against one small ship. Should be easy. Except the courier ship detected them and immediately tried to run. Its engines flared as it attempted to reach hyperspace. "Don't let it jump," Minji ordered. Jinwoo's fingers danced across his controls. His targeting computer locked onto the courier's engine ports. He fired with precision learned from thousands of hours of training. His shots hit perfectly and the courier ship's engines died. "Target disabled," he reported. Moving in for boarding. The boarding was quick. Minji led a team of Marines onto the ship while Jinwoo and his squadron provided cover. Inside, they found 6 Vraxian scientists and a containment unit holding the bioweapon. "Secure the weapon," Minji ordered, "and arrest everyone on board." One of the Vraxian scientists tried to activate the weapon remotely. A Marine shot him before he could complete the sequence. The others surrendered quickly after that. Sora arrived via shuttle to examine the weapon personally. She looked at the containment unit with professional detachment, but Jinwoo could see her hands shaking. "This is it," she said quietly. "This would have killed everyone on Earth, men, women, children, all of us." She looked at the captured scientists with cold fury. "You were going to commit genocide." "Orders," one scientist said weakly. "We were following orders. So were the guards at the death camps in human history," Sora replied. That excuse didn't work for them either. The evidence was overwhelming. Communications logs showing orders from the Vraxian High Command. Technical specifications for the bioweapon. Deployment plans. Everything. Ambassador Donghyun took this evidence to the Galactic Council the next day. He walked into the chamber with Sora beside him, carrying a sealed case containing the bioweapon data. "I come before this council to present evidence of attempted genocide," Donghyun announced. The chamber fell silent. The Vraxian Empire attempted to deploy a biological weapon against Earth, a weapon designed to kill every human being alive. He activated a holographic display showing the captured weapon, the scientists, and the decoded orders. The evidence was undeniable. Velkoth, the council leader, tried to speak. "This is a military matter between—" "This is genocide," Donghyun interrupted, his voice like thunder. "The Vraxian Empire tried to exterminate an entire species. And these orders." He pulled up the final piece of evidence. "Show that members of this council knew about it. You approved it." The chamber erupted in chaos, species shouting at each other, accusations flying, but 3 major species stood up and walked to Donghyun's side. The Telkari ambassador spoke first. "We were not informed of this plan. The Telkari Confederacy will not be party to genocide. We stand with humanity." The Hask representative added their voice. "The Hask Union condemns this action. We will open our territory to human forces." A 3rd species, the Quillen, joined them. "The council has lost its moral authority. New leadership is required." Donghyun looked at Velkoth and the Vraxian representative. "You tried to break us. You failed. You tried to kill us all. You failed again. Now the galaxy will see what kind of monsters lead the council." He turned to leave, then paused. "Humanity demands the immediate removal of the Vraxian Empire from the council. We demand the arrest of those who authorized this genocide attempt. And we demand a new council, one that actually believes in justice." "You cannot make demands," Velkoth shouted. "Watch us." Donghyun walked out, followed by the 3 allied species. On Earth, Taeho received the news with grim satisfaction. 3 allies. It's a start. We also have proof the council authorized genocide, Minji added. Public opinion across the galaxy is turning in our favor. Good. But the war isn't over. Taeho pulled up battle plans. The Vraxians will be desperate now. Wounded and humiliated. That makes them dangerous. What do we do? Taeho's eyes were hard. We finish this. We take the war to Vraxia Prime. We make them surrender completely, and we make sure the galaxy never forgets what happens when you try to exterminate humanity. Sora worked through the night in her laboratory. The bioweapon sat secure in a containment field, but she couldn't stop thinking about how close they had come to extinction. 36 hours. That's all that had stood between humanity and death. Never again, she whispered to herself. We will never be this vulnerable again. She began designing new defensive systems, ways to detect biological weapons, ways to counter them, ways to ensure that no species could ever threaten Earth like this again. Jinwoo sat in his fighter bay cleaning his weapons. The courier ship intercept had been perfect execution. Every shot precise, every movement calculated, but he couldn't stop thinking about what they had found. They really tried to kill all of us, he said to his wingman. Yeah, every human, every child, everyone. Then we make them pay. We make them regret ever hearing the word humanity." His wingman nodded grimly. "Damn right." Admiral Tejo stood alone in his office looking at Earth through the viewport. Beautiful blue planet home to 10 billion humans, 10 billion lives that had almost ended. "They think we're monsters now," he said to himself. "They think we're too aggressive, too violent." He touched the glass gently. "But we're not the monsters. We're just survivors who refuse to die." The war had been raging for 6 months. What started as 15 burning colonies had become a galactic conflict. Humanity, backed by 3 allied species, pressed deeper into Vraxian territory. Every battle showed the same result. Human warriors were simply better. Admiral Tejo stood on the bridge of the Inchan, studying the final objective. Vraxia Prime, the enemy homeworld. 2 billion Vraxian citizens and the largest military installation in their empire. "Final fleet count?" he asked Minji. 300 human capital ships, 100 allied vessels, 2,000 fighters. Minji pulled up the tactical display. "The Vraxians have 500 ships defending their homeworld, plus orbital defense platforms, plus ground-based weapons. But we have something they don't," Tejo said quietly. "What's that, sir?" "We have warriors who refuse to lose." The fleet assembled at the edge of the system. 400 ships preparing for the battle that would end the war. Jinwu sat in his fighter, now a squadron commander with 20 ships under his command. He had fought in 30 battles over 6 months. He had seen friends die. He had killed more enemy fighters than he could count. "All squadrons, this is Red Leader," he transmitted to his group. "Today we end this war. Today we make them understand that humanity cannot be broken. Stay tight, watch your wingmates, and remember your training." On the planet's surface far below, Nari led a different kind of mission. She commanded a special forces team that had infiltrated Vraxia Prime 3 weeks earlier. Their mission was simple but dangerous. Locate and mark the prisoner camps where humans were being held. "Command, this is Shadow Team," Nari whispered into her communicator. "We have visual on Camp 7. Confirmed human prisoners. Transmitting coordinates now." The response came from Daehyun, the Marine captain she had fought beside at New Busan. "Copy that, Shadow Team. Extraction forces are standing by. Hold position until the fleet arrives." Nari and her team watched from hiding as Vraxian guards marched human prisoners across the camp yard. The prisoners looked thin and beaten, but they still walked with their heads up. Still defiant even in captivity. "We're getting them out," Nari promised herself. "All of them." The space battle began at dawn on Vraxia Prime. The human fleet jumped into the system in 3 waves. Tejo commanded the center force, driving straight toward the planet. Minji took the left wing, sweeping around to hit the orbital defenses. The Allied forces took the right, preventing enemy reinforcements from other systems. The Vraxian defense fleet moved to intercept. 500 ships against 400. They still thought numbers would save them. They were wrong. "All ships execute Plan Hammer," Tejo ordered. The human fleet split and reformed with precision that stunned the enemy. They had practiced this maneuver for months. Every ship knew exactly where to be, exactly when to fire. It was warfare as art. Minji's wing hit first. Her ships used the new weapons that had won every previous battle. Railguns firing at impossible speeds, missiles that tracked through hyperspace, energy weapons that burned through shields like they weren't there. Vraxian ships started dying by the dozens. "Their formation is breaking," Minji's tactical officer shouted with excitement. "Don't let up," Minji ordered. "Press the advantage. Every ship they lose is one less defender for the planet." The battle raged for 3 hours. Human and allied ships moved like dancers, coordinated and deadly. The Vraxians fought bravely. But bravery alone wasn't enough against superior technology and tactics. Jinwu led his squadron through the chaos. Enemy fighters tried to intercept them, but Red Squadron had become legendary. They moved as one unit, covering each other perfectly. When a Vraxian fighter got behind Jinwu, his wingman was there to destroy it. When his wingman was targeted, Jinwu returned the favor. "Red Squadron has cleared the orbital defense platform," Jinwu reported. "Ready for ground support missions." "Copy that, Red Leader," Command responded. "Proceed to extraction zones. Shadow Team is marking targets." On the surface, Nari heard the roar of fighters overhead. She activated her targeting laser, painting the guard towers with invisible light that Jinwu's sensors could detect. "Shadow Team to Red Leader. Targets marked. Clear us a path." "With pleasure," Jinwu replied. His squadron screamed down from orbit, weapons blazing. The guard towers exploded. The walls crumbled. The gate blasted open. Marine dropships landed seconds later and 200 human soldiers poured into the camp. Go, 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 Dayan shouted as his Marines secured the perimeter. Get those prisoners out. Nari ran to the main prison building. Inside, she found humans who had been captured months ago. Some could barely walk. All of them had been tortured. We're here to take you home, Nari told them. Can you walk? An older man, beaten but not broken, stood up. We can run if we need to. Just get us out of this hell. That's the plan. The extraction took 20 minutes. Every human prisoner was loaded onto dropships and lifted to orbit. As the last ship left, Nari looked back at the camp. The Vraxian guards who had tortured prisoners lay dead. Justice, she thought grimly. In space, the battle was turning into a massacre. The Vraxian fleet was down to 200 ships. 150. They tried to retreat, but human forces had cut off their escape routes. This is Admiral Taiho to the Vraxian Defense Fleet. Surrender now and you will be treated according to the laws of war. Continue fighting and you will be destroyed. The Vraxian fleet commander, an old warrior named Kresh, knew when he was beaten. We surrender. All Vraxian ships will power down and await boarding. Any ship that tries to flee will be destroyed. With the space battle won, Taiho turned his attention to the planet. Commander Minji, begin orbital bombardment of military targets only. I want every weapons factory, every shipyard, and every military base reduced to rubble. But no civilian areas. We're not monsters. Yes, sir. For the next 12 hours, precision strikes eliminated Vraxia Prime's ability to make war. The shipyards where attack fleets were built burned. The factories that made weapons melted. The military command centers crumbled into dust. The Vraxian Emperor watched from his palace as his empire's power died. Finally, he sent a message on all channels. This is the Emperor of Vraxia. I request negotiations with the human commander. Taiho took the call in his ready room. The Emperor appeared on screen looking old and defeated. I wish to discuss terms of peace, the Emperor said. There are no terms, Taiho replied coldly. There is only surrender. Unconditional and complete. You would destroy us utterly? No, we would see justice done. Taiho leaned forward. You attacked our colonies. You murdered civilians. You tried to commit genocide with a bioweapon. Those crimes demand punishment. What do you want? Your complete surrender. Your military disbanded. Your leaders tried for war crimes, and reparations paid to every human family that lost someone because of your aggression. The Emperor's scales paled. That would end the Vraxian Empire. Your empire ended the moment you violated the Treaty of Titan. You just didn't know it yet. Taiho's voice softened slightly. But your people can survive. Your civilians who didn't commit crimes can live in peace. Your children can grow up in a galaxy that values justice. That's more mercy than you showed us. The Emperor was silent for a long moment. I accept your terms. The Vraxian Empire surrenders. The transmission ended. Taiho sat alone in his office, feeling the weight of 6 months of war finally lifting. They had won. Humanity had survived and triumphed. Minji entered quietly. Sir, the Allied fleet commanders are asking for a victory conference. Tell them we'll meet in orbit around Earth. I want to go home. Yes, sir. And, sir, we did it. We actually did it. Taiho smiled tiredly. We did, and now comes the hard part. Building a peace that actually lasts. 1 week later, representatives from 20 species gathered above Earth. The Galactic Council had collapsed after the truth about the genocide attempt became public. Now new leadership was needed. Ambassador Dongyun stood before the assembly. Beside him were representatives from the Telkari, the Hask, the Quillen, and 15 other species who had stood against the Vraxian aggression. We gather here to build something new, Dongyun began. The old council failed because it was built on power and domination. Species were valued not by their contributions, but by their military strength. That system led to war. It led to attempted genocide. It led to suffering. He activated a holographic display showing a proposed new charter. We propose a new galactic union, built on principles of equality, where every species has a voice, where disputes are settled through law, not war, where aggressive war is punished by all members acting together. And who would enforce these laws? Asked the Telkari ambassador. We would, together. Dongyun gestured to Admiral Taiho, who had joined the conference. A coalition defense force, made up of ships from all member species, commanded by officers chosen for their merit, not their species. Taiho stepped forward. Humanity has proven we can fight, but we don't want to be the galaxy's police force. We want partners, allies, species who will stand together to prevent another war like this one. The voting took 3 hours. When it ended, 17 species had joined the new Galactic Union. 3 species declined but agreed to observer status. The old Council species who had authorized the genocide attempt were excluded entirely pending war crimes trials.